Hello, Fred Whitford. I'm with the Purdue Cooperative Extension Service, Director of Purdue Pesticide Programs. In many cases, we actually see the spread of unwanted plants, algae, zebra mussels from one pond reservoir to the next, based on they are being attached to a trailer, lining a boat, and being moved from one body of water to the next where they become established, create a problem, and then require us to make those treatments. It should be our responsibility, whether we're a pond owner, whether we're a commercial applicator managing a pond, and or just boaters in general, to be responsible for reducing the spread of these unwanted pests. So let's take a look at the next video where we can gain some tips and practices that we can do so that we can be responsible in our ability to reduce the spread of these unwanted organisms. So let's go back now with Nate at Aquatic Control, and we had a chance to do a little interview with him and see what his philosophy is when it comes to cleaning off the boats, and not only for weeds but for things like zebra mussels, which was a good point that he made.
Came up, we're working in areas that's got a lot of weeds, and we're worried about moving weeds from one pond to another. Are there some techniques that every one of us that's involved in this pond application that we should be worried? Is there a stewardship kind of thing that we need to do when we pull our boats out?
Oh, for certain, especially with all the invasive species, invasive animals as well, snails, zebra mussels. The obvious thing is to clean the visible stuff off your boat. But there's also the invisible things. Zebra mussel veligers can be in the water, so if you're in a zebra mussel positive lake, you need to make sure you drain everything and even bleach your boat in order to take care of that, or leave your boat sitting, which most of us don't like to do this time of year for a long period of time. But the obvious one is getting all the plant material and all the material off the boat as soon as you get it out of the water before you transport it.
So what would you do if it had, let's say, duckweed and some of these smaller things that just got the boat sort of covered in it? Because a lot of these places you would have a lot coming off. And while they may be common across the state, is there a technique that you guys do to be able to wash it off? Because I'm right there on the pond.
Yeah. You can use the pond water. If you clean your tank out, you can then use that water to spray the duckweed off. You can use scoops of the water to clean it off. If you don't have good access to or if you have a hose or anything nearby, to spray it off with a hose. There is duckweed everywhere. It's not an invasive species, and it's going to be hard to get it all, but it's good to go through the effort to get that stuff off.
Because if we do something that's not invasive, when we get in the habit of cleaning
Correct.
the boats, then it helps us to clean stuff.
Correct.
Let's get another perspective from Will from Bellinger's, and we'll see what his philosophy is. Very similar, but again, it shows the importance of making sure that we do our best not to spread these unwanted weeds and other organisms. Well, Will, we took our measurements here. We talked about scouting this pond, getting some eyeball on this whole pond, and we've done a lot here, but the job's not done till the paperwork's done, and making sure about these sorts of issues. And what's the deal here?
Well, what I like to do, and is a good practice for everybody to do, is to make sure that your boat and your trailer are clean of any kind of plant material. That way you don't transfer to the next pond that you treat. So I found that just a stick or the snow marker here is a really good tool for reaching up underneath there and getting all the naiad, which is generally what hooks onto your boat frame right here. It tends to wrap and get stuck. Now I've already cleaned underneath it, but it'll stick in all these random places, but this is really good for getting it out of the way. I generally just leave it here to decompose, but I'll slide underneath here and grab it out with this. And then if there's any plant material stuck to the side of the boat, I will hand wipe that off.
Okay.
And at my first chance I get, I will wash this boat off. And then
with a power washer or something, or
absolutely.
Okay. Yep.
Absolutely. And then I also do. I tend to make sure that the ponds that I know that have issues such as naiad and things of that nature, I tend to schedule my day accordingly.
So, because we know that you can't get 100% of this off, even if you tried.
Absolutely.
So, if you work the ponds based on what you know is sticking to the equipment, and this would probably be the best example.
This is a fairly typical example.
Yeah,
of that.
so then if you could work all the ponds that have it, then you're not sort of fighting against yourself that you're making those treatments anyhow. But again, the object is to get as much as you can, humanly possible, and then maybe, as you said, schedule the jobs, and because you just hate to be introducing something to create more of a problem that you now have to deal with, and that's just, you're fighting
Absolutely.
against yourself.
Absolutely.
So it generally takes you about how long on most places? 2,
10
3
minutes.
minutes? 10 minutes?
10 minutes tops, and that's doing a thorough job at it. Some ponds are a lot cleaner than others, and you can just, when you pull your boat out, you'll see the material stuck to the axles and everywhere that it can. And you know, then again, you do learn your ponds, and you know what ponds are going to cause you issues when you're launching and getting ready to leave.
So scheduling the job becomes pretty important. What jobs
Absolutely.
follow each one of these? So,
Exactly.
okay.
What we hope that you observed or learned in this video was there is a responsibility that we all should share when we are using a body of water and actually going from one body of water to the next. And if we could utilize and put into practice some of these very simple tips, we can at least stem the tide of these unwanted weeds and algae and even zebra mussels being spread from one location to the next. If you're interested and would like to watch more videos, we have them at the following website that appears on your screen. And for those that are really interested and want a lot more detail, we have a full course, e-learning course that you can take, also available on the website that's on the screen.